All right, so I'm John, and my project was looking at what lay and former members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints think about homosexuality. The reason being, the United States has become increasingly tolerant toward homosexuality, including some conservative religions. However, we don't know what membership as a whole thinks. We know what the institution of the church thinks, regarding the announcement on the 2015 policy this morning. But we don't really know what a bishop thinks or what your local Relief Society president thinks. That's what I set out to do. So I interviewed 24 respondents, post-Mormon, so ex-Mormon, non-Orthodox Mormon, and True Blue Mormon. How I determined the difference between non-Orthodox and True Blue was non-Orthodox people believed that the church is good, but it's still separate from God. So how I think of it is this is good and God, and this is the church, and it's slowly getting there. True Blue Mormons see it the other way around, as the church is good, and God is at the helm, and it's perfect, and we need to get closer to what the church believes. That's really critical to my findings. So, interviewed 24 people using various methodological and sociological theories. I have 4 main findings. My first one is social purgatory. As you can see with the quote, what it means is all 24 respondents believed that being gay and Mormon is hard. And there is a problem, there's a contradiction, there's some sort of struggle there. And so, if you've read W.E.B. Du Bois's The Souls of Black Folk, he says that, blacks at the turn of the 20th century were stuck between, emancipation and what the future would hold of civil rights. So they lived this awkward stage where they were citizens but not. So very similar for gays. It's we're members of the church, but we can't really marry and we can't really have the full thing. We can be in mixed orientation marriage, but we won't really be happy. Or we can be celibate, which sucks. So that was the first finding. My second finding is what I call fractured faith. When people realized that there was a tension between homosexuality and the church's teachings, they did one of 4 things at once, but often people did all sorts of coping mechanisms. First one is rationalization. This is the first step. Rationalization is where people, they're gender is essential, male has divine characteristics, female has divine characteristics, and part of those characteristics is to like the opposite sex. So to be homosexual and to date a member of the same sex is wrong because you're betraying your integrity of your divine origin, and straight parents are better to parent, whatever. So that's rationalization. The next step is compartmentalization of but I still want to believe that, but I also want to be gay and have that life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to date on the side, but also try to reconcile these two things. This person said, I wanted to see if I could merge the two to make a happy medium of me being gay and the church's teachings. The third way is people tried to reconcile. They're okay, this is a problem. I can't live 2 separate lives. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to put the 2 together. So a lot of respondents were what I tried to do is just make them together. And I don't have a way of saying how it works because I don't know how it works. It's on a very individual basis. I had one respondent say, the reason how I reconcile it is one day it's going to change. And that's how I cope with it. The last one is rejection of faith, which is pretty simple. They say, okay, the church is wrong. I'm going to walk away. And so those are the 4 coping mechanisms. Then we have, in my opinion, probably the most important finding is personal autonomy versus salvific sovereignty. So let me explain this. It's really important. So if you go to a doctor, let's say I go to a psychiatrist or a physician, and I say, hey, I'm sick, which I'm sick right now. I'm sick, I need help with my sinus infection. I don't know what to do. And he says, I want you to take this medication, get a lot of rest, and also do 100 jumping jacks when you wake up in the morning. Like, okay, I see that, but like, I don't know if doing 100 jumping jacks is good for me. And he's like, well, no, I have a degree, I'm an MD, I know what's best for you. But then you go home and you wake up and you're like, I'm tired, I'm not gonna do 100 jumping jacks. Translate this to the church. A gay person walks into their bishop's office and says, hey bishop, I'm gay, I don't know what to do. What would you recommend? And he says, well, you should just live the church's teachings. I know that that'll be best for you. But the tension being, you go home and you're like, but I think what's best for me is to live in a relationship, like live in a same-sex relationship. So personal autonomy, do I know myself better? Or salvific sovereignty, does the church have power or sovereignty over my salvation and happiness? Or do I have power over my salvation and happiness? This is very important because it sticks to other idea. Like I said, it translates to other things. So this is really important for religious theory. The last one is, what do we do to reconcile this issue of social purgatory? Solutions. Carson says, I think the most valuable thing is when members get to know gay people, when they hear their stories, when they see them and see their lives, and that's what changes hearts. So these respondents believe that the way we reconcile this issue is to hear the pleas of gay Mormons, understand what it's like to be attracted to the same sex and to not really fit in, to be in this social purgatory. Implications, that means talking to people, like having discussions at church about homosexuality. You know, when you walk into your bishop's office, having your bishop, like being able to be candid about your sexuality with your bishop. Having firesides about all this. You know, it's really important to be open and transparent about these things. The one thing is, if you care about the mental health of an individual and you try to recommend them a solution, the most important thing is to I said this in one of my presentations, my imperative to you is to not give imperatives. So when somebody's like, I don't know what to do, never say, just stay in the church, or never say, leave the church. It's way more complicated and nuanced than that. What we need to do is let people make their decisions on their own and help them along the way.